Thank you, Will Johnson. Well, traveling is back, of course. Paul Lasley and Elizabeth Harryman here talking with, I gotta tell you, there is a company that is dear to our hearts, Brendan Vacations. And, you know, it's named after St. Brendan. And, well, that makes sense when you think about going to Ireland. But Brendan Vacations has branched out over the world. And we are very, very fortunate to have with us Gary Murphy, who is the son of the founder of Brendan Vacations, Jimmy Murphy, who's been on the radio with us before. And, well, you know, St. Brendan, the patron saint of Brendan Vacations, I suppose, and Ireland, used to sail the world. So I guess it's natural that Brendan Vacations is going to Tahiti. Gary, welcome to Traveling.
Thank you, Paul.
Was that all accurate?
We're talking with Gary Murphy, who is with Brendan Worldwide Vacations, I think the name is now, perhaps aptly. So, yes, what is this about Irishmen going to Tahiti?
Well, it's an interesting story in that when we first started going to Ireland back in 1969, 68, 69, we actually started going to Tahiti and the South Pacific Islands of Australia and New Zealand in 1971. So it's not a new destination for us. It's one that we enjoy selling. It's a beautiful part of the world. But it came about the fact, and I wish we could say it was some very diligent planning process that we decided to go to the South Pacific. But my father had a partner in a fishing boat that they shared who was with Air New Zealand at the time. And he said, Jimmy, when people stop traveling to Ireland in the winter, what are you going to do with all your res staff? He goes, why don't you sell the South Pacific? And that's the way it came about.
Well, it makes perfect sense.
Yes, it does.
Well, and so many Irish do vacation in Tahiti. So, I mean, you know, it's sort of like Dublin South.
Do they?
I don't know.
It's a bit of a hop for them, and their skin doesn't do that well in the tropical sun.
Well, I guess the thing to start off with, Gary, is that we always tell people don't go to Tahiti on your own. Get a package vacation, because otherwise the sticker shock sets in, and pretty soon you can only have one lunch and you get back on the plane and leave. Package vacations are really the way to go to Tahiti, aren't they?
Well, there's lots of additional services that we can provide as a tour company that the client may not think of in advance. And you're quite right, Paul. You know, meal packages or meal plans where we will promote the meal plan, either a breakfast each day, or your breakfast and dinner each day, or a breakfast, lunch, and dinner each day, so the client knows exactly what to expect before they leave as far as an expense for their meals. Also, there's certain islands in the Tahitian chain, certain islands like Moorea, that we would recommend, just take the breakfast, because there's lots of little restaurants around that you can go to that are quite affordable. There's some pizza places that, you can get a pizza for $7 or $8. There's hamburger stands, and then there's first-class dining that, yes, you'd be paying $30 for an entree. Then on some of the outer islands, the only place to eat is at the hotel. Mm-hmm. And that type of situation, it's better to buy a meal plan, at least the option of breakfast and lunch or dinner, so you know what you're spending before you get there. And the deal is generally better if you prepay for that.
Well, because Tahiti being way out in the middle of the Pacific, the cost of living is very high. So if you're not on some kind of package, it can be very expensive if you're just going day to day. So I think, and now when we say these packages, when you go to Tahiti, it's not like a regular tour, like with 40 other people, right? It's just, how does that work?
They are, Elizabeth, they're independent vacations. So we have a brochure, we have packages on our website, and they're a good guide on what the people can expect when they're traveling. But still, a lot of people will say, well, I see your package does 3 days in Bora Bora and 3 days in Moorea. We'd rather do 4 days in Bora Bora and 2 days in Moorea, and we can customize it to suit exactly what the client is looking for.
And you're talking about, I was just looking at some of your prices on the website. So for around a couple of $1,000s per person, you can spend a week there in, say, and see if I'm reading this right, 3 islands in French Polynesia, and including airfare. Is that right?
Yes,
Something
it is.
Like that?
Tahiti has become, over the years, more and more competitive. It still has the stigma from years gone by of it being so expensive. But now when people, you can see what the prices are that we're offering. A lot has to do with Air Tahiti Nui. Air Tahiti, the new airline, it's the national carrier of Tahiti, offering exceptional service. I mean, it's a Tahitian crew. They're very proud of their airline, and it comes across from the services they provide, and they have great competitive pricing. In Tahiti, it's only from LA a 7.5-hour flight. So people have the perception that it's down there near Australia or New Zealand, but from if you go to Hawaii for 5 hours, flight, or you can go to Tahiti for additional 2.5 hours, but you get a really different Polynesian experience.
Well, now, do you remember your first trip to Tahiti?
Actually, I do.
What was your impression? When was it, and what was your first impression?
Oh boy! Now you have to understand, I was raised in a travel family. So my first trip to Tahiti, I believe, like 13 or 14 years old.
Oh gosh, that would be so fun.
And you can do this. The family, we took over a house where we went down to a local market. My mother's very, very creative in the way we used to travel, and we'd take over a house on the beach, and the whole family stayed down there for a week, and it was a very memorable experience.
Well, now, was this work for your dad?
My dad was going down on business, and we were lucky enough at times, if it was the summertime, we were out of school, he'd take the whole family along, plant us at a location, he'd go out and do his business during the day, join us in the evening, and the kids would go wild on the beach.
And so, did you fall in love with a Tahitian young woman?
Not at that age.
Well, now, but Tahiti is amazingly beautiful. I think if you haven't been there, what was your impression when you first saw those jagged peaks and the lush rainforest?
Well, that's what makes Tahiti a unique destination too. Is that the islands are young islands in relation to Hawaii or the Fijian chain. They're young islands, so they have those dramatic peaks from the volcanoes erupting from the ocean floor. And then they have those barrier reefs that have, over the millennium, have extended out from the land to create just these tranquil lagoons. And Tahiti is known for its peaks and its lagoons, and some of the cleanest water in the world. The only place they can grow black pearls, Tahitian black pearls, are in these outer islands, the Tuamotus, because it requires the perfect water conditions. For divers, when you can get up to visibility of a couple hundred feet, it's just the visibility and the cleanliness is unbelievable. It's unsurpassed.
The water is gorgeous, and Tahiti is gorgeous. And you are traveling right here on Discovery Channel Radio with Paul Lasley and Elizabeth Harryman. Our special guest this hour is Gary Murphy with Brendan Worldwide Vacations. Brendan, most known, I guess, for trips to Ireland, but also has very affordable packages to Tahiti.
Tahiti's also known, Gary, for over-the-water bungalows, which I have looked at these brochures, and these have to be the most expensive real estate on earth.
The Overwater Bungalow, yes. And the Overwater Bungalow, it was unique to Tahiti, and it came about, there was a group of guys from Newport Beach, California, the Kellys, and I can't remember the other partner, and they had a piece of property down in Tahiti, and they wanted to extend the property out, and they couldn't buy anymore, so they just built these rooms on poles right in the lagoon, and they were the first overwater bungalows.
How inventive.
Yes. And
boy, did that start a trend.
It's a wonderful experience. When you go to these properties in Tahiti, in French Polynesia, and like out in La Taha, the overwater bungalows there, I believe, they're over 1,000 square feet. They're like little houses built over these tranquil lagoons. And when you arrive at the property, you get a feeling there's no one there. Everyone plants themselves in their overwater bungalows where you can dive off your balcony into this beautiful water. You have these gorgeous rooms, high peak ceilings with the ceiling fans going, and people spend a lot of time using that as their base. It's a wonderful experience, and I think if anyone's going down to Tahiti, they should at least spend 1 or 2 nights in an overwater bungalow. It's one of those iconic experiences. So
yeah, because they do tend to be expensive, but you could splurge for 1 or 2 nights in one of those, and then spend the rest of your visit in a more affordable lodging, right?
Well, and the beach bungalows, which are right on the shore, or the garden bungalows. When you're saying, the garden bungalows would still be a stone's throw from the water. You're still extremely close.
Well, and the other thing is, and we should stress this, is the reason you can do so much on the water, including build bungalows, is that you have these wonderful calm lagoons that are sheltered by magnificent coral reefs. And that gives a whole nother dimension to going to Tahiti. If you're into beaches and the water, I mean, this is the way to see. For me, I'd rather bob around in one of those warm lagoons than just about anything else and watch the fish.
You can see, Paul, one of us tends to be more active on vacation, and the other one tends to like to do things like look at the fish,
Well,
which is not a bad thing to do if you're on vacation.
Well, and there's lots of different activities now down. There's they take you on these four-wheel drive excursions into the jungle up in the mountains. They take you through the banana or the pineapple plantations. You can do excursions out to the motus, which are the little islands that are formed on the barrier reef. And they can bring you out there, and you'll be, with maybe a group of 10 other people, and you'll be the only people on this motu. They'll do a picnic. You can go, go exploring for seashells or go snorkeling. They do ray feedings, these snorkeling excursions at the mouth of the reef. There's a lot to do. I was lucky enough this past Easter to travel down there with my wife and children again, and they got to share the experience that I got to share, 30 some odd years earlier.
Well, I think that's one of the great things about going to Tahiti is sharing the experiences and sharing them when you get back, because these are experiences of a lifetime. It is truly a unique island experience, and there are so many islands in the Tahitian chain. We're going to talk a little bit about that.